Yo, what's up, everybody? How are you doing today? Hopefully you're having a great one. It's your boy, Jobless Bum, and today we are going to be the moral arbiters of the internet, the judge, jury, and executioner of the public court of opinion. Yes, today we're going to be taking a look at r/Am I the Asshole, the place on the internet where you can get free advice from redditors on just anything that's ailing you in life. And we're going to see if these people are assholes or are they not, or is it a little bit in between. Most things in life are a little bit in between, so I'm guessing it's going to be that, but we'll see what happens. But here we go. Am I the asshole for refusing to see other options for a girl and pressing charges for what she did to my son's car? Mine, 39 male. Son, 17 male. Bryce dated our neighbor, Lana, 17 female. For a year, they broke up mid-January for reasons I don't know. I won't sugarcoat this. I never liked Lana. She always seemed a little unhinged, controlling and aggressive. She's always demanding Bryce's attention, and there were quite a few times when she showed up on our house out of nowhere, whether it was 7 a.m. or 11 p.m. because Bryce wasn't answering his phone, screaming and calling him a cheater when it wasn't like that. The thought of our son getting abused by his girlfriend made us worried so much. My wife and I tried to talk him out of that relationship. We said how it wasn't normal nor healthy. We didn't want to force the breakup because we feared Lana would lash out to him, so we tried to do it in a sneaky way. We don't know if it worked, but they ended up breaking up. That's a bit of a red flag. That is a bit of a red flag. The meddlers. Obviously, we're not getting the full scoop, but I'm already a bit suspect. He said that after he broke up with her, Lana didn't contact him, which was weird because he expected her to go nuts, but I told him that if fate didn't give him shit, he better not tease it. Now, the problem is that we bought my son a car for Christmas. Nothing fancy, but enough to get him to school, his job, and eventually college. He parks it in our driveway outside our home. Ever since the month began, we had been finding scratches all over the car. We know Lana was doing it, but since it was minimal, my son decided not to do anything, even if we could prove that it was her. We have CCTV. Still, something smelled bad for me, so I decided to switch one of the cameras facing his car directly just in case. Well, 2 weeks ago, we got up and found my son's car covered in a lot of shit. Paint, glue, feathers, confetti. The door handles were wrecked, flat tires, paint all over the window. You get the picture. Bryce and my wife were so distraught. We called the police, and I handed them the CCTV that showed Lana and her brother destroying my son's car. We pressed charges, and needless to say, Lana's brother went straight to jail, but since she's still a minor, her parents want to make a deal, but I refused. I don't think she should get a way out. Before the police was here, she was laughing her ass off, and she tried to play it cool. If she thought this was funny, then she's old enough to face the consequences. My wife and I want to stand our ground. They said they'll buy my son a better car and put Lana on therapy, but it's not enough. Am I the asshole? Okay, so this is one of the problems that I have with this subreddit sometimes. Is like, why would you need to post this? Like, this is obviously, am I the asshole, right? I'm a bit skeptical to believe this story just because right here, my wife tried to talk him out of that relationship. We said how it wasn't normal nor healthy. We didn't want to force the breakup because we feared Lana would lash out to him, so we tried to do it in a sneaky way. We didn't know if it worked, but they ended up breaking up. Clearly that didn't work because she still did it, even though you thought it was sneaky. They thought they were being the sneaky link here. But even still, like, that's kind of a shit move, right? I still think that definitely the asshole definitely should still pursue the charges, but I agree, Ricardo. You gotta get the new car. If she's gonna get you a better car, if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. But if life gives you a fucking McLaren, you should take the McLaren. Here's an idea. Get the car off the books, then press charges. You know what? That is the Sigma Grussel right there. That is 5-head. I'm gonna make a poll, but I don't think we really need the poll. So you have 3 choices. YAH, which is yes, asshole. NTA, which is not the asshole. Everybody's an asshole. And no assholes here. Jury says, not the asshole. All right, round numero due. Am I the asshole for teaching my 20 male niece, 4 female, to say El Chupacabra when her mom, 32 female, says, you know what really gets my goat? Basically title, I guess. My sister has a habit of saying, you know what really gets my goat? She probably says it 7 to 8 times a day. So like that Tumblr post, I taught my niece to say El Chupacabra when her mom says it. It sounds more like El Chupacabra, though, because she's 4, but it's adorable. I told my niece it was a monster from Mexico that eats goats, and she didn't seem scared or anything, probably because the only monster she knows is Cookie Monster. But apparently now my niece walks around the house saying El Chupacabra all day, and now my sister and brother-in-law are mad at me for teaching her this, but in my opinion, it's kind of adorable and also harmless. But she's my sister's kid, so IDK. On the whole, I think not the asshole. I think it's mostly harmless, but let me take this from a different approach. You probably shouldn't be teaching a 4-year-old about a goat-eating monster. That, I think it's reasonable to be a bit taken aback about that. Because I think about myself at 4 years old. I was afraid of my own fucking shadow, let alone a goat-eating monster. Now, granted, I don't know how graphic it got. That is the lens where I could probably see the sister being mad at that. Let's see what the chat has to say. Fuck the toddlers. They need to learn. You know, get a job. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You need to learn the world is a cruel, cruel place. 4 years old, when are you going to start paying taxes? Come on. We'll open up the poll, but I think this is another open and shut case. All right, what is our vote looking like? No assholes here. That's fair. I think that's a fair vote. Honestly, I think now realizing that that was an option, I think I'm going to say no assholes. I don't think the sister's an asshole for this. Taking another look at this, is it really the worst thing in the world that like he taught his niece about El Chupacabra? Probably not. But it's also probably not a good idea to be telling 4-year-olds about goat-eating monsters. Because that'll probably scare them shitless. It's probably not that big of a deal. So, I agree with the chat here. No assholes here. Round number 3. Am I the asshole for uninviting my cousin, brother, uncle, and dad to my wedding over a prank? I, female 22, grew up in a family where men prank and tease each other. Ever since my fiance, Tim, 23, and I got engaged, my cousin, brother, dad, and uncle joked about running some tests to see what type of man Tim is. They've done stuff like forcing him to play chess 4 times in a row, secretly slashed his tires to see if he'd fix it himself like a man or get help like those lazy guys. They'd asked him questions like what joke he'd like to tell his future mother-in-law, his opinions on abortion, Jesus, gender equality, etc. They also tested his fishing and hunting skills, overwhelmed him with hypothetical scenarios to test his decision-making ability / mental strength. They kept calling him slow and soft, but he has medical condition, asthma. But they think he's making excuses. I demanded they stop, but Dad said this is just typical stuff men challenge each others with, and said that I was ruining the fun. Last week, they took Tim on a 3-day trip and hid his inhaler. He left them and returned in 7 hours and told me I was seething after he said they admitted to hiding it as a challenge. I exploded on them when they returned. Cousin asked if little Timmy ran to me to tattle. I yelled that all 4 of them are uninvited to my wedding. My brother freaked out saying it was a prank and they were going to give it back. Dad said they'll apologize if I insist, but Tim will have lost the little respect they gained for him and in their eyes will always be the soft college kid who's not up for the challenge. I called him and the others awful, then I left. My cousin is begging that we talk. My uncle has been quiet, but Dad is so mad and now he's getting Mom involved to get me to reconsider this decision. But I kept refusing to reinvite them. Mom is saying I'm exaggerating and should let bygones be bygones and not let this ruin my relationship with my family. Am I the asshole? for making it my hill to die on, or am I exaggerating? My initial thoughts on this is that this is a gross overstep, especially if you're going to be doing outdoor activities, right? And you're going to hide the inhaler. Not a good idea, especially since if you're supportive of your sister or your daughter, probably shouldn't be hiding the inhaler. What happens if he dies on the trip? Oh, sorry, we were doing a fun little prank and Tim fucking died. That doesn't seem like a good story to talk at the water cooler over dinner when you're having Thanksgiving dinner. The daughter's just gonna be like, hey, remember that time you guys killed my fiance? I see why she's angry. This was definitely going way too far on the prank. And I think that OP is justified in her anger. However, and I understand her decision. It's one night. It's one day, right? Is that really worth getting everybody uninvited? That's one of the thoughts that I have. But at the same time, it's like, they'll probably just keep doing this stuff if, like, you know, they don't put their foot down, right? So, honestly, I think not the asshole on this one. And we'll run another poll. It looks like the poll is saying not the asshole, and I definitely agree on this one. This one was pretty cut and dry. Am I the asshole for calling my friend an idiot for wanting a maternity test? My friend Dan recently found out he might be a father. I say might because the girl he's been having an off/on relationship with, Kara, is pregnant, and he's not sure if he's the dad. She offered to get a paternity test once the baby is born and doesn't expect any kind of support until they find out if the baby is his. He's on board with that and appreciates that she's not pushing him into fatherhood if the baby isn't his. The issue is that when he was talking to me about it, he also said he wants to get a maternity test to make sure the baby is hers. Kara is visibly pregnant. We know she's pregnant because she did a maternity photo shoot and posted it on social media, so it's obvious she's not faking being pregnant. We've both seen her in person, too, and she's most definitely pregnant. However, Dan believes that the baby might not be hers. I tried to explain to him that's not how biology works, and unless she got an embryo implanted in her, then she's definitely the mother. She's a waitress and works for minimum wage plus tips, so I doubt she has the money to afford an embryo implantation. Plus, it's ridiculous to think that she'd do all that just to baby trap a guy who is unemployed and living with his parents at 32. Plus, he's never donated sperm. He's genuinely convinced that the baby might not biologically be hers, despite not only me, his mom, and our other friends explaining that that's not how babies/pregnancy works. He's still insisting on a maternity test and told me that I was being ridiculous and that I'm the one who doesn't understand biology despite me studying to be an autopsy pathologist, which has required quite literally years of biology classes. I got fed up and called him a senseless idiot and told him to call me when he got his head screwed back on straight. Ever since then, he's been spamming my phone and has gotten a couple of our friends to spam me as well, telling me I'm being insensitive and he's just stressed about possibly being a dad. So am I the asshole for calling my friend an idiot? I don't think we even need to do a vote on this one. This is ridiculous. Are maternity tests even a thing? I guess like you could do like a DNA test, right? So do we even need to do a poll on this one? This one is pretty clearly not the asshole. The friend is definitely the asshole. I'm just stunned at the general lack of knowledge about these sort of things. Am I the asshole for making my stepson walk on his engagement night? The title sounds bad, but hear me out. My stepson Rowan, 23, just got engaged to his fiancée. She comes from a highly conservative family, and they both won't live together till after marriage. They're both on great terms, and I have to say her parents are a bit much. So the engagement party was held at a restaurant. I drove my wife, Rowan, and his best friend Jack there because Rowan's car needed some work. Things went quite well. Party ended, and everyone went home. On the way back, I had to stop by the store so I could grab something for our 16-year-old son. Rowan, Jack, and I waited in the car. Rowan and Jack kept laughing. Then this young lady walked towards us because her car was parked next to mine in the parking lot. Rowan kept trying to speak to her while she was trying to load her stuff in the car. He and Jack kept throwing words at her and she seemed annoyed. Jack then said, "Hey, he just wants to look at that ass." Then Rowan said, "Let me see it jiggle, baby." I was appalled. I told them both to knock it off, but then Rowan sarcastically replied, "Relax, I was just giving her a compliment. Bet she don't get many of those often." The lady got in her car and I started arguing with him about his behavior and shamed him for acting like this on his own engagement night. He argued back saying something about my car and I lost it. I told him to get out immediately. Jack got involved, so I kicked him out too. My wife got back and started engaging in the argument, saying I can't let her son walk home from his engagement party. I replied that her son can't be harassing other women on the way back from his engagement party, but she kept defending him. I told her to either stay or get in the car. She did, and I drove off. Rowan didn't come home, and my wife gave me hell for it. We later found out that he was staying at one of his guy friends' place. From what I understand, he's pissed at me and refusing to see me. My wife said it was my fault. I escalated the situation over some stupid shit boys his age do all the time. I told her he can't do this while in my car, but she took it as if I was holding it over his head. She said I should have never made him walk the night of his engagement and demanded that I apologize to him. Was I the asshole for kicking him and his friend out of the car on his engagement night? So again, this is another clear-cut case. Definitely not the asshole. That is just comically bad. Why would you do this with your stepmom in the car, first off? Why are you catcalling with your stepmom in the car? Maybe this guy's been watching too much of those videos. Maybe he thought his stepmom was gonna get stuck in the car window. I'm just stunned. You do this? Why your stepmom's in the car? So okay, so it wasn't the stepmom. It was his stepdad. Okay, so that makes more sense. But overall, come on. That's very bad. Yeah, especially for acting on his own engagement night. You just made a commitment to your partner for the rest of your life. And then now he's going, "Hey, I just want to, let me see it jiggle, baby." So definitely I think he's the asshole. I think not the asshole. Sorry. Not the asshole. That's my final answer. Not the asshole. It was an even split, 50-50, not the asshole versus everybody's an asshole. Okay, one more for the road. Am I the asshole for taking off my leg and making someone look dumb and feel uncomfortable? I, 21 female, was in a very bad car accident about 3 years ago. A drunk driver ran a stoplight, cut off a semi-truck, which then crashed into me, sending me crashing into 2 different cars, and then ultimately into an embankment. My car was mangled and my leg was crushed, completely destroyed, and it had to be amputated. I also lost a couple of fingers, the tip of one and all of another. I'm also left with some gnarly scars that used to bother me, but I'm learning to deal with them. I got a couple different insurance payouts, and some pain and suffering money, in addition to my medical bills being paid, and with my money, I purchased a custom-made leg to take the place of the one that I lost. When I have pants and shoes on, you can hardly tell unless you're really looking. I still limp, but some days I don't have as pronounced a limp. Earlier today, I went to the store with my boyfriend, my sister, her girlfriend, and our mother. I drove. I had to learn to drive with my left foot, but I'm really good at it now. I also bought a new car with my money and had to go through a ton of therapy to get past my PTSD, but I'm doing well there now as well. So I drove us, and because of my injuries, in addition to my leg, I also have chronic hip, neck, and back pain and some issues with my lungs from the time spent intubated in a medically induced coma that led to pneumonia. I have a handicap placard for my car. I have trouble walking without getting tired, so it really helps to park close to the door. Today I did so and unbeknowingly took the space from someone who was circling back around for it. Apparently the man had been looking for a close space and had missed the one I took and went down and around. He was still on the other aisle when I pulled in, so I didn't cut him off or anything, and had no way of knowing he wanted the spot. He parked in the yellow stripe zone and got out and immediately began confronting me about stealing a space from people who actually need it. How I'm just some kid who has no respect for those who are truly sick and suffering. He then ordered me to move. My group was urging me to just walk away, but this has happened before and once the police were even called. I'm sick of people thinking that just because I'm young, that I don't have a legit need for a little extra consideration. I said okay, and went to the car and got in like I was going to drive off. I was wearing a skirt and leggings, so it wasn't quite obvious at first, but when I sat down, I took off my leg and showed it to the man, including my stump. I then asked him if it was okay if I still parked there. He walked away, calling me disgusting and rude, and said I could have just told him and made him look stupid. My group was embarrassed and it said that I made things awkward because there was a crowd. Am I the asshole? My thoughts on this situation are, this person was 100% justified. The other guy was being a fucking asshole, right? And like, I'm sure like this has happened before, right? Like that's what the OP said, like that this situation has happened before where like people won't respect that she has a disability. And she needs the parking space. If you're gonna be an asshole in a situation, you better be 100% justified in your actions, because otherwise you're gonna look like an asshole. But in this situation, taking off the leg and throwing it in front of the guy, that's a ballsy move, and I respect that. I think that was such a good move, and that'll make that guy shut up. And you know what? That'll actually change this guy's mind. He'll be like, maybe I shouldn't do that in the future. I think this is pretty clear not the asshole for me on this one. But let me know what you guys think. We'll do a little poll. All right, it looks like it's split between, again, not the asshole and everybody's an asshole. I definitely think it's probably a not the asshole for me, but Twitch chat has spoken. We are not unanimous in our decision. But at least we can agree that the guy who confronted OP about this, we can at least agree that he was an asshole, I think. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed having a bit of power in these situations. And yeah, definitely check me out on Twitch. This was live streamed on twitch.tv/jobless_bum. Definitely check me out if you want to be here for the next video. And peace out.